be here with me and to honor Tim. The state of my mind being what it is, I'm just going to say a few remarks. It's by no means an eulogy, but I've written out every word and highlighted it with my yellow highlighter. It is unbelievable and unbearable that I have lost Tim so suddenly and at such a young age. I know you feel the same way. Tim was a beautiful man. He was my angel. He was doing well. He was optimistic and upbeat, full of energy. The future was his to be, and that is true. The report cards from his doctors were all good. We were even headed to Chile in March of this year for 2 weeks with David and Daniel and Matt and Jordan. All was good. And then a sudden, unforeseen episode took him from us. And took him from us with no way for us to be with him to say goodbye. I lived for Tim, and Tim was my life. I thank God, and I am blessed by Tim, that 31 years ago, he wanted me as his husband, best friend, and soulmate. Tim and I were very private people, and believe it or not, loners in many ways. But we were also very social, and we loved to host a good party. We often hosted at the Cosmos Club, or the Army-Navy Club, or Marcel's, our favorite restaurant, and other restaurants here in DC. We had intimate small dinners at our home, or larger ones downstairs at the family table that could seat up to 26 people. It was a table that Tim and his stepfather, David, built years ago. Our last function was a retirement party just last June, for our musician friend, Jennifer Hines. On the road with clients, he did the same thing, always getting a group together for dinner after dinner after dinner. He did all this because he valued and loved so much the friend that the party was honoring, or the group that he wanted to share an evening with. So today, it is our day to host and honor Tim. Thank you.
I am Andy Brown, and I am so honored to be here in celebration of the life of such a great man, and Tim Owens, and particularly pleased that David asked Ron and Kurt and I to talk to you for a couple minutes, because one of the things that you may be somewhat unaware of is the impact that Tim had beyond the things that I think you know well, his status in the arts, his ability to participate in the Washington Ballet Board and the Symphony Orchestra, but Tim was an enormously successful businessman and was very much part of a rural telephone industry that much of America is unaware of, serving the vast swaths of rural America, small town, locally owned companies, and he was essentially a giant in that field. And one of the things that I wanted to convey, my purpose today is to, one of the things I want to get across is that I'm not an idiot. And I'll elaborate a little bit. Tim was working in the Arlington County world and was applied for a job as the executive director of what we call the Foundation for Rural Service, which is a philanthropic arm of the National Telephone Cooperative Association, a trade association representing the rural telephone industry I just described. And it was just a fledgling organization, and we were just getting it off the ground, and we advertised for an executive director. We had enough small companies around the country that made donations, and we realized we were going to have enough resources to hire someone. So I got the opportunity to advertise for the position and interview the candidates. So, well, a little over 25 years ago, the elevator of the 5th floor of our building came up with the vice president who was in charge of human resources, brought along one of the candidates for me to meet. And kind of loping off the elevator was this kind of gangly guy shaking my hand. I'm Tim Owens. And I tried to signal the HR person to not go far, because this wasn't going to take too long. This was not what I was looking for. I don't know why, but that was just my first impression. So we end up going to my office and we start talking. And I'm basically, there's a few perfunctory questions, thanks a lot for your interest. And the more we talk, the more I'm interested. And the more I'm starting to listen, and we're engaging. And you know Tim, he can really connect with people. And I crossed from being skeptical to perfunctory to interested, tell me more, to by that magic point, and you probably have been in this situation yourselves, about 2/3 of the way through the interview, I go, I have to hire this guy. This guy is tremendous. I am bouncing down to the HR office, basically saying, this is the guy we gotta have. And he came on board and did exactly what I had hoped. He entered the industry, people met him, they became interested in him, and then they were enthusiastic supporters of his and the foundation. And I was just thrilled to watch him grow, but also grow this organization that was very important to me and to the company that I worked for. So the part, I'm not an idiot, I realized that I had started to have a wrong first impression. I came to my senses and I was wowed. And I remained wowed for the next 25 years. One of the things that Ron and Kurt and I could tell you, we have been reached out to by so many people across this rural industry. It is very, very much a tight-knit group. And we are the beneficiaries of them expressing their condolences to us because they know we lost such a great friend. I can name a dozen people who think because of their relationship with him, to be standing right here as welcome and as appropriately speaking as I am. I'm sure Ron and Kurt could do the same. Tim had such a wide swath. He had literally dozens and dozens of people who considered him their best friend. And this is a man in a business, and he turns people into clients and into best friends. He was just that good. One of the things that, as Tim talked to me later, he did great at the FRS, at the Foundation for Rural Service, but he had hit basically a point where he wanted to take on other challenges. And I had already left the association. I was working downtown somewhere else, and he called and he said, I understand Bill Cronin is looking for somebody to join his team. Would you be willing to help me land that position? And Bill Cronin was a consultant in the industry, a little quirky, a little hard to get along with, and Tim would be joining as the bottom guy in his organization. And I kind of talked to Tim and I said, I'm not sure that's the right fit. You know, Bill's a little hard to work with. I'm not sure you'd find it challenging enough. He was convinced. His instincts told him that's what he wanted to do. Not unlike my conversation with him where he was interested and then grew on. He took a similar tack there. He worked very hard. Ultimately, he owned the company. He's the president of the company, the owner of the company, and he grew it past Bill Cronin's wildest dreams when Bill had founded it 40 years earlier than now. But it was the same story. Tim got his foot in the door and just did a magnificent job. So he's just so terrific. And one of the things that I am so pleased, as awful as the situation is, so many of the people in the rural industry were somewhat surprised to find out about Tim's wide background and how impressive he was in terms of his other interests. He would be a success if you only measured him by his violin playing, or you only mentioned him by knew him from his philanthropy to things like the Washington Ballet, or if you only knew him as a rural telephone advisor. To be all of those things and more and to be such a dear friend to all of us, or a dear relative to all of us. Just what a remarkable, remarkable man, and I'm so pleased that I can, and I'd love to elaborate I'd like to meet each and every one of you. I'd love to tell you more about the Tim we knew and compare notes with the Tim you know. But we're just so pleased to honor him under such horrific circumstances. One of the things that I also am amazed at, when you step back and you look at someone you know so well, and then to find out there's so much more about him than you realized, and how multifaceted he was. He truly was a Renaissance man. So as we have these discussions, it is just amazing how we sum up Tim's young life, how much he accomplished and did. One of the only things that's helping me get through this, I was at the beach this week, and I was not into vacation mode, and I was snapping at my in-laws, which is never a wise idea. Snapping at my in-laws, cranky to my sons, and one of my sons pulled me aside and said, what's your problem? And I said, my friend died. And that's essentially it in a nutshell. And he was so special. So one of the things is we put him on a pedestal, and we really celebrate his enormously successful life. One of the things that I also want to do is remind you that he wasn't perfect. He did have a blind spot or two, the one that I focused on and tried to help him with constantly, particularly in his business relationships. For example, on the Monday after the Super Bowl, Tim, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl yesterday. When you're talking to your clients in Missouri, Kansas, anywhere like that, or talking to anyone generally, all you need to know is, how about that Patrick Mahomes? That's all you gotta memorize, and that's what he would do. He'd throw something out, and away he goes, and he fit in beautifully with everybody, but his knowledge was about this big, about this deep. So as I was trying to think through the conversation I might have with Tim this week, it would have been along the lines of the NFL team in Washington, D.C. has changed its name, or is going to change its name. And he would go, I could picture him going, that's great, 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 good to know, good to know. What was their old name? So that's the Tim. He wasn't totally perfect, but he was about as close to perfect as anybody I've ever met. So I wasn't an idiot when I gave him a start in the rural telephone industry. Bill Cronin wasn't an idiot when I called him and told him, you've got to hire this guy. He is so special. And I know all of you agree with me that Tim is so special. And I thank him for all the times he made me comfortable when I'd have on a black tie, and he and David would be comfortable in a place like an embassy or a fundraiser, and I would be there as literally the fish out of water. And he would be making sure that I felt comfortable and welcomed, and I saw him do that so many different times in so many different places and settings. He and David both, just a remarkable, remarkable man. I'm so pleased to call him my friend. Thank you, David, for the honor to say a few words, and I would love to talk about him all day with all of you as we get together and reminisce about just a very, very special man. Kurt?
So I had to write mine down here because I don't know how to get through this. So one thing I failed to think through when I did write it down is that when my eyes well up, my contacts float, so I can't see. So hopefully I can get through this. So where do I even begin? Tim was such an amazing person. He was smart, he was funny, talented, incredibly successful, and just all around great person. He was the type of human being that everybody wanted to be around. Tim and I both started in the telecom industry the same year. I remember being introduced to him for the first time at a meeting in Dallas, Texas. After that, it didn't take long for us to hit it off. and become very close friends. We'd regularly see each other at industry meetings and would text back and forth and talk on the phone at least a few times a week. Whenever we'd be traveling together, Tim was always in charge of picking the restaurants. I think Tim is responsible for introducing me to good wine and the art of fine dining. It didn't matter what city or state we were in, Tim always knew how to pick the place. And let's just say I've enjoyed some really amazing meals with Tim over the past 25 years. Tim was the type of guy who not only knew everyone in the room, but he always remembered everyone's name, their spouse, their kids, and all the little details that made each and every person feel special. Whenever we were traveling, we'd always set a time to meet at the bar for a glass of wine, or 2 or 3. What would start off as just the 2 of us catching up would quickly become a large group of friends all gathered around Tim. He was just a fun person to be around. Tim was an amazing speaker. He had a special gift and was knowledgeable on so many topics. Because of this, he was regularly asked to speak at industry events all over the country. When he took to the podium, he never felt more at home. He was always dressed to the nines, looking polished and professional. He always seemed so relaxed and presented with such passion. People always listened to what he had to say, and his delivery was impeccable. I was honored to share the stage with Tim many times over the years. I always joked with him afterwards that he was the one making me look good, and I'm serious about that. We had this game we played where each of us would try to scoop the other with industry news. One of us would send an email or a text with simply the word scoop. Within minutes, we'd be on the phone with each other trying to guess the industry tidbit that one of us had. In fact, we played that game just a few weeks ago. Back in 2007, Suzanne and I ran the Marine Corps Marathon for the first time. We stayed with Tim and David, and they offered to be our support crew. They both took their role very seriously and made us feel like elite runners. They met us at various predetermined locations all around the course, and even walked all the way out to Haynes Point. Tim still swore to this day that he walked more than the 26.2 miles we ran that day. I think he might be right. It was definitely a memory none of us will forget. There were so many good memories, like the time we went snorkeling in Poipu Beach in Kauai. After having lunch, Tim and I wandered over to the surf shop to rent snorkeling equipment. The guy probably knew we were a bunch of tourists. Anyway, in addition to walking out with 2 sets of snorkeling gear, he sold us some frozen fish food. Of course, Tim gave it to me to stick in my pocket. I had forgotten it was even there until Tim and I were in the water, and all of a sudden, we had hundreds of fish swarming us. At which point we realized it was the fish food in my pocket that we were aggressively after. Tim and I ended up abandoning the fish food and Ryan was dressed to escape the land. While I was sitting there reflecting on all the places Tim and I have shared memories, I came up with a list of more than 36 cities. Many of these we had visited multiple times for various industry events, and I know I've missed a few. Another memory that stands out was when Tim, Ron, and I were attending an NTCA meeting a few years ago in San Diego. We had all talked about going to Nobu for sushi, and if you've ever gone to Nobu, it's definitely one of the best sushi places. Tim said he'd take care of reservations. The day before, the 3 of us were talking, and Ron asked Tim what time of reservations were, to which Tim replied, "I haven't made them yet, but I'll take care of it." Ron asked him if he realized it was Valentine's Day. Needless to say, we had a nice table in the lounge, and had a great dinner and a nice Valentine's Day together. Tim touched so many people and was a friend to everyone. I still can't believe I'll never get to talk to you again or create any more amazing memories. While Tim's life ended way too soon, while he was here, he truly knew how to live life to its fullest, make every moment count. I'm thankful to have called Tim and David friends. And I'm a better person for having known you. Till we meet again, pleasant peace.
I'm going to try to do this.
this. So I'm, as David mentioned, I'm Ron Laudner, and my wife Kathy and I are here to honor Tim and certainly be there for David and for all of you. I represent, as Kurt and Andy, to the rural industry that Tim served so well and led us through so many brilliant decisions and business, ideas and ways to do our business different so it was better for our customers, and we're all much better for that. But as I think back as it's been a difficult week for us all, is when did we meet? When was that first time? And it was at an industry meeting, and it was 23 years ago, and my staff had gone to a meeting that Tim had put on behalf of Cronin, and they had told me that you need to meet this guy. He knows what he's doing, he knows what he's talking about, and he can really help our business. And I said, well, I'll be the judge of that, and how should we and when should we? He said, well, he's out with clients for dinner. Now, as I know, shock-faced, but he'll meet in the lounge for a drink afterwards. And again, as I know now, shock-faced. But that's what we did. And it was late in the evening after we'd all got back, and we went to the lounge and we were waiting for this guy to walk in. And my staff member said, here he comes. And I looked up, and a guy came in, walked right past us, right past the table, didn't say hi, didn't say anything. There was a grand piano in the corner. And he sat down, and he played, and played, and played. And then he came over and he said, hi, I'm Tim Owens. He was hired on the spot. As my kids, my sons grew up, and in high school especially, and we all know that high school can be tough, school can be tough, kids can be tough, and tough on them. And they would come home at the end of the day, and somebody maybe hadn't said something right, a teacher hadn't treated them right, or something for something they had done, a coach, something had not gone well. And right or wrong, my words of wisdom, which weren't many, but my words of wisdom were, son, you haven't even met your friends yet. Don't get caught up in what somebody may say or do. You're gonna meet your friends, and you're gonna know when you do. And they will be there forever. And that day I met Tim, I knew he was my friend, and he's been my friend forever. And we've had the opportunity, and Kathy said, as she tried to help me, as I tried to think through this, that you wish that your friends would come with that light bulb, that little light that would come on and would say, I'm your guy, I'm your gal, I'm the one you really need to be friends with, and just get to it. We finally got to it with Tim. Kathy and I have traveled with David and Tim all over the world. And we're looking forward to doing some more of those, as many of you in here, and have traveled with him. And through those things have had more of a personal relationship now than maybe even business, as the personal has gone far beyond the business. And I can't echo anything more than what Andy and Kurt have both said about what a pillar in our industry, and what a giant, and how helpful he has been to this industry. The one thing that I do know is that he's made me a better man. And you can't go out to dinner and not know that you're dressed right. You can't speak at a conference that he's attending where you don't practice and rehearse and do it right. There isn't a time where you pick a bottle of wine and it better go with the food, it better be right. You better dress right, you better act right, and you better treat people right. And Tim has taught me that, made me a better person. And for that, I thank him, and David, I thank you as well. And that's really all I've got to say. You people are all great influences, and he's been a great influence in your life, so I feel honored to have been given the chance to stand here. You guys all have great stories and great travel and great family memories, but I'm so honored to be able to do it, and thank you, Tim, for making me a better man.
just wanted to thank all three of you, Andy, Kurt, and Ron, and also the fact that your wives are here. They are really close friends, and through Tim, I met so many of his other clients. So that there is a great group of friendship. As a matter of fact, and you know, I was in the Air Force, and then I was working at DOD, and I guess it's kind of like any couple. You come home and how was your day, and talk about what you did that day and all. But I didn't know the depth of his business. One time, he was saying something about, and I later came to learn that every single client was a friend. A business opportunity to Tim was to meet a new friend, and that new friend built into an old friendship. And I think, guys, you could say that about everyone that has done business with Tim and Cronin. And somewhere along the line, I don't know where it was, we had a conversation, and I heard him, I thought, being too familiar with wanting to go do something or with clients. And I had a little talk with him, and I said, well, you know, being an attorney, I said, and not that, you know, you can be an attorney and you can go out and play golf with your client. It doesn't mean you can never do anything with a client, but in many situations you would be their attorney, and it wouldn't develop into that much of a friendship. And I said, I think you should tread cautiously in that. And he didn't believe that, and maybe I had another conversation or so later. But when I retired in 2016, I certainly went on every conference that either he was hosting or someone else was hosting. And I went to many of the cities. I think I bypassed Minot and a couple of others, but I was there all the time, and I was his little sidekick, and it was quite a joke. And then I'm starting to meet all these clients and realizing, yes, they're clients, but they're friends, and the friendships just built. So I got to know more and more about Cronin Communications and about his friends. So I thank the three of you to be speaking today on your own personal experiences, but also I know you're speaking about the industry at large. Just want to end with one little quip or joke or whatever. You know, since I'm retired, Cronin Communications is kind of interesting because there's no warehouse out there. There's no inventory on the shelf. The Cronin Communication headquarters is at 938 T Street, and he has a very large room that's his office, nicely appointed, and it's at parties sometimes we joke when we were showing the house off, and I'd have it blocked off, and I said, well, you can't go in, but you can look in. This is Cronin Communications headquarters. And then down the hall is our den, and since I've been retired, my morning thing is drink coffee, read the paper. I'm still a person who reads the paper, and he's already in the office talking, and I can hear things that are going on. And he was just always in depth with every client and what he could do for them. But the point I want to make with these three guys is that this is like the girls' club. You know, Tim would get on me sometimes saying, you have been on the phone with Dave Bennett or Ryan Stubbs for what is going on? You know, and I said, oh really? I said, well, every week you're on the phone with Ron, Andy, or Kurt 2 or 3 times. And you're not talking any business. You're not talking any business opportunity. You're just, I think Kurt alluded to it, you're just trying to see who heard the latest gossip in the business community. Thank you, guys. Thank you each of you for coming. If Tim was hosting a party, every one of you would have been invited for that party, and no one else. I just want you to know that. Thank you.